Right, so here we're looking at right, we're looking at mitosis. Mitosis-ish. Why is it called mitosis? Anyway, right. So what we've got here is the structure of the ovaries and uterus. So here is the ovary. It produces the egg cell or the ovum. It travels along the fallopian tube. So that is the fallopian tube. Or you can, well, sometimes you'll see it, or people call it the oviduct. Right, and then this part here is the uterus, which we commonly call the womb. And then here on the structure is the vagina. And this part here is the cervix. You'll have to know all these parts. Right, and this is this bit here is the ligament that holds the ovary in place. Ligament. So all this you've got to know, because if it comes up and it could be a 4 marker, 5 marker, they're gonna ask you to do that. So the first one is I know it as the fallopian tube. But like I said, sometimes people will call it the oviduct. Then you've got the ovary. Singular is ovary, plural is ovaries. Then you have the uterus. And which we commonly call the womb. And you've got then the vagina. So if I get rid of this, you might be able to see it better. There you go. Just learn that structure. Right. This is the bit I always get confused with. So this is the hormonal changes during a woman's menstrual cycle, in particular estrogen and progesterone, and these are from the ovaries. So is there any way of copying that? Okay, what we'll do is right, so what's happened is the uterus wall was thick here, ready for a fertilized egg to implant and pregnancy to commence. But if that doesn't happen, the uterus wall starts breaking down. And then, let me redraw that. It breaks down and then it starts the process again. Then it starts to thicken it. And it thickens it and it gets ready, and then it stays ready to receive a fertilized egg and it'll embed in there, implant in there, and it'll start the pregnancy. And then if it doesn't happen, what happens is you have the menstruation, the bleeding. And this here is the thickness of the uterus. So this is the oh, is it complaining again? Yes, it is. No, I don't want blue, I want red. Right, so this is the thickness, and when it doesn't receive, it starts, this is where you get your menstrual bleeding, and then it starts thickening again. Now we need to have a look at the estrogen and progesterone levels, and they are the hormones that come from or are secreted from the ovaries. Okay. What they're saying on the graph indicate using the letter O the day when ovulation is most likely to occur. O is most likely to occur from anywhere from there to there. So we'll call that O for ovulation. So after the estrogen, okay, let's write this down. Ovulation occurs after the peak of estrogen. After the peak of estrogen and up to the trough. That's the bottom bit here. So can we do that? No, we can't. Right, so we can color this in. This is where estrogen is in. So it's a bit slow and long-winded, but it's important that if you can internalize this, you're on your way to getting some good marks. It's not liking it. Alright, okay, let's pick another color. We've done red. Right, okay. So now the next one is the letter M, the day when menstruation. Okay, before I go on, let me just explain something. Let's define ovulation is the release of a mature egg. An egg that's ready to accept a sperm and become fertilized. Mature egg, so the release of a mature egg. Right, so let's go back. Right, the next bit, we're looking at menstruation is most likely to start. So, right, this is where, oh, come on. Right, let's do that one actually. Yeah, so from here to there, that's when menstruation, that's when you've got the bleeding, when the uterus is shed. So we have to label that. We have to excuse this because it's right, M there. So that's when the uterus lining has not received a fertilized egg and it starts breaking down. Right. Describe the changes that take place in structure R. Where is structure R? Structure R. Okay, the uterus. So in the uterus during the menstrual cycle. Okay, what colour is that and why is that there? Another red. What colour was it? Was it blue? Was it orange? Let's go for orange. Right, okay. What's going to happen there? Right. During the menstrual cycle, the full cycle, the uterus thickens up, and during the cycle, it is maintained as a thick lining, and then if there's no fertilized egg embedding in there, it ends up breaking down. It then breaks down if a fertilized egg is not received. Right. However, if a fertilized egg is received, it is maintained because you now have a fertilized implanted egg in there, and those are the first stages of it becoming a baby. Right, that was a tough one, but anyway, try to learn the cycle. I, for the life of me, cannot put it into memory. I know it for 2 days and then I forget. Right, let's move on. Some women only have sexual intercourse at certain times of their menstrual cycle in order to avoid pregnancy. Why would this not be a good, I don't know, why wouldn't it be a good, reliable, okay, the key thing is reliable of birth control. Right, because the ovulation, ovulation does not always occur at the same time. It can occur different times during the month or during the cycle. So, for example, if you may ovulate early, then becoming pregnant, or ovulate late. So that's the first thing from the female side, and from the male side, the sperm may survive in the body for longer than a person thinks, and some of them say up to 5 days. So that's potentially a point of fertilization taking place. Right, describe the role of estrogen in puberty. Right, in puberty, not pregnancy, but puberty. So Right, estrogen is a hormone responsible for secondary, and they've underlined that. That means you've got to use that word, sexual characteristics. So what do they mean by that? This is what happens is women, their hips widen, they they grow breasts for feeding the baby, they grow body hair, grow pubic hair and body hair, and the what do you call it? The fat in the body is distributed to other parts. The fat distribution changes. Distribution changes, and menstruation starts. This is an indication that puberty's happened, and a woman will then be ready for becoming pregnant. So all these things, estrogen hit. Oh, okay, that's cool. Estrogen is responsible for, and you've got right, secondary sexual characteristics. You can't just put sexual characteristics. What happens? The hips widen, the breasts grow, the pubic hair grows, fat distribution changes, and menstruation starts. So all these things, although it's a 3 mark and you can add any of those. Right. They presented this question in a slightly different way last time. The sex of a baby is determined by a chromosome it inherits from its parents. Explain which parent determines the sex of the baby. So remember we said there's the egg, it's got an X sex chromosome, and there's the sperm, it's got an X Y chromosome. So let's do it this way. So this is the male XX, and this is the female, which has the XY chromosome. So now so you've got a sperm and it's got an X chromosome in, and you've got a sperm and it's got a Y chromosome in. So if the sperm carries an X chromosome, this is an X, you're gonna end up with an XX. Again, XX. No, my word, did I just do that? Let me just, I'm saying one thing and writing something else. Let me just get rid of that. Hello. No, oh, there you go. Come on. Right, finally. Thank you. Right, this is, oh my word, no, it's not behaving. Sorry, you have to just put up with this for a while. That is a no. Please help me. Right, let me sort this out. Why? Okay, let's try this now. So if the male sperm carries the X chromosome, you're going to end up with XX. If the male sperm carries the Y chromosome, you're going to end up with X from mom and Y from dad. X from mom and Y from dad. So if you look carefully, it's the male, it's the father that is the one who determines the sex of the baby. So what we can say is it is the male who determines the sex of the baby, because the male is XY. They call it heterogametic, I would say. Yep. So, and it's this chromosome, the Y chromosome, that determines if you're a male. Right. Describe how cell division by meiosis differs from cell division by mitosis. Okay, we're gonna have to leave it there. So, oh, right, okay, no problem. It's not behaving. Right. If you look, mitosis is for body cells, and meiosis is for gametes, and those are sex cells. Right. So we now need to figure out what the differences are, and it's one of those questions that could come up where they could offer you like a 4 or 5 marker. So let's look at mitosis. So you've got 4 phases. The first phase is called prophase. So what happens is, this is where you get the chromatids duplicating or doubling up. Right, that's the first stage, and the nucleus, or the membrane, the nuclear membrane breaks down. Right. Okay, it seems to be behaving now. Right, okay, so the first phase, just say you've got a chromosome. You see, you've got these chromosomes. The first thing that's going to happen is they are going to just duplicate. So that chromosome becomes, that's a chromatid and that's a chromatid, and it's held together with the center at the center with the centromere. So that's the first phase. It's called the prophase, and this nucleus has got a membrane on it. So this nuclear membrane starts breaking down. That's the first phase, prophase. Then you've got metaphase. So now you've got that's your cell, Now you've got all these chromatids line up in the center. And you get these spindles forming. I think these are protein spindles. Right. So they align at the equator here. So this is the metaphase. So they all align up, and these spindles, they start shortening. So what happens is this gets pulled to this half. So you've got one copy or one chromatid on this side, and the other one goes to that side. So what you have is all this starts disappearing. These get shorter, they eventually disappear. Right, so where they were lining up is called metaphase. Okay. Number 3 is called the anaphase. That's where these are pulled from the center up to this point. That is called the anaphase. So they go to the poles of the cell. Right, we can get rid of that. Right. And then the final stage is telophase. So these are all in one. All these 4 end up in one. We're only going to show 4. And the membrane starts forming. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And you've got a membrane forming. And what happens is, I'm going to get rid of that. That then starts, the cytoplasm starts splitting up. And then eventually it will become 2 separate. Let's not put it there. Right, so we can get rid of this. And it eventually becomes 2 separate cells. So it's got its own DNA, its own nucleus or nuclear membrane, and it's got the cell membrane and its cytoplasm. So you end up with 2 daughter cells. Right, I'm gonna have to do a better, I think, video on that, but we can do that. Right, okay, we'll get rid of this. Now we need to write about that, what's just happened. That was a bit strange. So we're talking about the mitosis. Mitosis and meiosis. So we're going to talk about mitosis, and by saying that, it's going to be different, yeah? So mitosis produces 2 daughter cells, right? Whilst meiosis produces how many? 4 daughter cells. Right. The chromosomes The chromosomes are 23 pairs of 43. 23 pairs 46, whilst in meiosis there are 23 chromosomes, right? It's mitosis produces diploid cells, and meiosis produces haploid cells. That just simply means, what should we do with that? Let's turn that into red. Diploid is 46 chromosomes, haploid is 23. Right. Mitosis produces genetically identical cells, whilst meiosis produces what genetically produces genetic variation in the cells. Right, what else can we say? Right, mitosis. Okay, meiosis takes place in the gonads. Gonads are, you can say, sex organs. In this case, ovaries and testes. Okay, we'll pause that there.